What? Hey, what? Me. Okay? Yakuza. Let's go. Sorry if I'm a little erratic with my moods today. I have been getting a lot of good sleep, and also I got crazy allergies because it's fucking springtime early in the desert. So, apologies in advance. When we last left off, our hero did a lot of really dumb shit that probably would have made more sense if I could speak Japanese. Now, his daddy died. He got blamed for it, even though he had a witness to corroborate the ninja story. So now Sakamoto Ryoma is probably going to take the assumed identity of Hajime Saito. Which is interesting. I'm just assuming. I don't know if he's doing that yet. You would assume, right? Because, you know, what's that movie with Harrison Ford? It was the one-armed man! That movie. You know what it is. He even jumped into a river! Just like in that movie, except it was a sewage drain. Chapter 2, I assume. Sorry. Fade in on his battered dead corpse because he jumped like 20 million feet into a fucking raging rapid. I think this is the demo. This looks very reminiscent of the demo. Ugh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I've been doing some research in between now and earlier, and I learned about why Kiryu didn't have a second sword, and it was because of a class system within the samurai. As you might know, Japan has a really important class system. It did all throughout the Edo period. Where, like, at the top was, you know, the nobles. And then, at the very top of, like, the civilian ladder were the samurai. Underneath them were, like, the farmers and artisans. And underneath them were the merchants. And underneath them were, like, the outcasts of society. Pretty much every culture has that, I think. Like, India totally has that, and it's fucked up pretty much everywhere, because it still exists in modern day. There are still, like, outcast, clan, class people in modern day fucking Japan, and it's really fucked up. Anyway, there are also classes within the samurai. There's, like, the bottom rung samurai that are just, like, the privates. There's the fucking private first class samurai. And then there's the fucking, like, super high class, almost tippity top of the ladder samurai. And Ryoma, I'm fucking up my Y's because of Japanese different pronunciations. Ryoma is, I'm just gonna call him Kiryu, or Sakamoto, because I can pronounce that way easier. Is a bottom string samurai. So I assume that means he only gets the katana. Whereas the upper class samurai get both. So yeah, this is definitely where we came in on the demo. And he's being a grumpy grump. He's being a bit of a grumpy grump. I'm sorry, I just got mucus all over the place. It's really gross. Sorry. I don't like it either. Sneeze it. Phew! Oh, man! Okay. Yeah. This is my atom box. This is where I could save. Oh my goodness! Ugh. God, there's like 2 modes in the desert. There's either freezing to death or sweating to death. At least when you're freezing to death, there's no pollen and shit like that. Yeah. So, this begins the game proper. Because once we head outside, we'll have... Oh, he's got 2 swords! Check that out! Wonder where he got the second one. So, now he is posing, I suspect, as an upper tier samurai. I could be talking to my ass, I don't know. And I'm also assuming he's living under that assumed identity of Hajime, which I think is a good enough excuse to talk a little bit about the historical Sakamoto Ryoma and Saito Hajime. Or Ryoma Sakamoto, Hajime Saito, I'm not sure. Japan has a weird naming convention thing where the family name is put before the given birth name. Only Western culture doesn't do that, so usually in like articles about Japanese people, they'll have the given name first and the family name second, which is wrong. So I don't know which one's correct. I'm just going by which one I can pronounce better. So Sakamoto, I can pronounce easier, and Hajime, I can pronounce easier. So that's what I'm going with. I'm gonna try and clear things up a little bit. Hold on. I'm not sick, it's just allergies. It's really annoying. So Sakamoto is a very influential figure at this stage in history. I suppose this will take a little bit of background, because I talked about it a little bit in the video on the demo, but at this point in history, the black ships had arrived, Western influence was knocking at Japan's door. Folks from, Britain, from, all the traditional Western countries were here being like, yo, open up. And the Shogun was like, no, fuck you all. But, oh shit. Oh, we're skipping forward. Remember, in the demo, I had a chance to wander around town before I got to the dojo here, but now it's just automatically putting me there. That's interesting. There's probably that makes sense, because in the demo, there was really nothing to do. Like, you could wander around, but you couldn't get in any random battles, and there weren't a lot of side quests you could get into, so makes sense to just skip to here. That's something cool that Japan does with video games, is they release the demo, and then they get feedback from the community who played the demo, and then they make changes to the game before they actually release it, based on what they got suggestions on from the demo. Why doesn't fucking everyone do that? Maybe because demos hurt game sales. Anyway. So as I touched on before, the Emperor, who had been used as a figurehead, as a token of legitimacy by the Shogun for all this time, the Shogun being basically a military dictatorship, that's the closest equivalent I can think to compare it to. Although, the Emperor was more like a pope than a king, or an emperor as we would know it. The Emperor was considered the religious head of the country, because, the Emperor was, literally supposed to be God. But, obviously, by this stage, he was like, I'm sick of this shit, I'm gonna try and vie for power, and, these Westerners are gonna help me try and get it. So there was a lot of internal political strife at this stage, where it was, supporters of the Emperor versus supporters of the Shogun. And Sakamoto was a supporter of the Emperor, whereas Hajime worked for an organization that was pro-shogunate. And Sakamoto was actually, he could be said to be responsible for the Emperor's faction winning out in the end and seizing power from the Shogun and returning it to the Emperor after 200 years. That's not strictly true, because before the Tokugawa Shogunate, it was just the Ashikaga Shogunate. The Emperor never really had a direct hand in controlling the country. But you know, he was finally like, well, I want to, fuck all of you. So what you gonna do about it? So that's what I was getting at before, where I said, like, Sakamoto and Hajime were like Batman and Joker. Not in the sense that they were personally nemesises, but they were on opposite sides of the conflict. And that's very interesting, considering in the first chapter we saw that Kiryu's buddies were using guns and whatnot, which implies that they were anti-shogunate, which might have been why he was assassinated, because they were pro-empirical, pro-opening up the borders to Westerners, which would line up with the fact that Kiryu's playing Ryoma Sakamoto, since he was a pro-empirical individual who made great strides in uniting people who were against the shogunate together, because obviously just because the enemy of my enemy doesn't make them my friend, but Sakamoto made them friends. That was his major contribution. He was a very good diplomat, so to speak. He kind of like got the feuding families together and was like, hey guys, we can't fight them if we're fighting each other. So that's like his major substantial contribution, and I'm simplifying it a lot. But really, without him, these factions would not have banded together and fought against the shogunate the way they did. On the flip side, Hajime was a somewhat infamous member of the Shinsengumi, who hasn't been introduced in the game yet, but I've talked about them before. Oh. Hey, look at this! These guys are being dicks! Oh, they're being dicks! Look at that guy's sweet hat! They're picking on that guy with a sweet hat. Let's protect the hat. Fuck these guys. Leave the guy a hat with alone. Leave the guy with the hat alone. Or else. Whatever, dude. Oh hey, the hat guy ran away. Good. My task here is done. But I still have to fight you guys. Bring it on! I fought ninjas. You think I give a shit about your pansy asses? I just fought a whole bunch of dudes with a wooden sword. You think I care about you guys? Oh, now I can use my gun. I wonder how this would have gone realistically if these guys were in a sword fight and this guy out of nowhere just pulls out a gun and starts slashing and shooting at him. That would have been funny. That is something to think about. Like, how did the average samurai or even the average citizen react to firearms when they were used casually at this point? I don't know. I'm mildly curious. Okay, let's knock this guy down and finish him off with a heat action. The baddest one ever. Stab and shoot! That makes him look like such a cold-blooded fucking murderer, the camera angles that they use for that. And he faded and they're all just fine. Whatever. They're slightly hunched over. That was annoying. Run away! I feel like this works a lot better in the main series where they're just getting into fist fights. Thanks for saving my hat. No problem, dude. It's a sweet hat. Whatever. I don't know what's going on. Oh, hey, he's like a priesty priest? I think this is like a tutorial for a system in the game. Where it's like... Yeah, see? It's explaining to us about Dharma, which is a concept in Buddhism that's kind of like... It's not really like karma. Actually, it is, a little bit. It's like in Fallout, when you get good karma, when you do a good deed, you get good karma. That's what Dharma is. You do something cool, you help people out, you eat at a restaurant, you buy an item somewhere. Pretty much you do anything in the game, you get Dharma. And you can use that to buy certain things at the Shinto shrine here. Which is weird, because Dharma is a Buddhist concept. But whatever. Shinto and Buddhism are always kind of like smushed together in Japan, because Japan has this weird habit of stealing cultural aspects of other Eastern nations. Like, they took Buddhism started in fucking India, and all the other Eastern nations kind of adapted it. In fact, in modern day, there's a funny saying where people are born Shinto, marry Christian, and their funeral is Buddhism style. Of course, that second part, being married Christian, wouldn't have been around at this point in history. So let's see if we can figure this out. I can pray at the shrine, which is probably part of a completion list. Yeah, here's like a checklist of deeds, and if you fill it out, you'll get like a shit ton of Dharma that you can spend on... let's see what we can spend it on, actually. If I can figure this out. Do I do it from you? Maybe? No, he just gave me a tutorial. This is what you use to save. So, how do you spend the Dharma? Yeah, it's kind of funny that this fucking concept of Buddhism that's all about, like, being a cool dude and attaining peace and helping people out is being used as a fucking, like, experience points currency system in this. But whatever, dude. Okay, here we go. So you can spend Dharma on various different things, and I have no idea what any of these are, so it's completely pointless. That's one of the few things I might actually bother to look up a guide about, because, you know, they might be important. That guy's got a gun. I've got a gun too. My gun's better than yours! still don't have the stabby jab yet. It's weird that we only have the stab for the gun, the sword gun, but not the sword by itself. You think that'd come up much earlier in the training wheel. Oh, it's Komaki! Komaki. This is that, sensei martial arts teacher in the previous games who would teach you a whole bunch of sick moves. What's up, buddy? Komaki yelled at ya? Yeah, he does that. He's kind of a grouchy old man. But he's badass, so, you know, badass old people are allowed to be grouchy. Anyway, that's Komaki. If he serves the same function he did in Kenzan, he'll teach us a lot of unique moves for the unarmed style of combat. And hopefully, just general purpose moves. Like, if you press the X button in combat, you'll dodge swiftly out of the way. If you press it twice, you'll be able to duck and weave. And that's a move that you only learn from Komaki. And he's like, I'm not accepting any students. You get the fuck out of here. I'm like, I'm the Dragon of Dojima. You'll take me as a student, motherfucker. He's like, okay. I actually have no idea what they're talking about. Whew. Things have cleared up a little bit. So, smooth sailing from here on out. Okay, so I'm assuming this is like an entrance exam, or he's teaching us something. Oh, that was badass! Did you see that shit? Oh! Oh my goodness! Did you see that? That used up your heat gauge. But that was some fucking Fist of the North Star shit right there. Awesome. Okay, now he's gonna take us on as a student, and we can periodically come to him and learn different techniques. Probably from the unarmed style. I want to see if we can learn that fucking dodge and weave move as soon as possible. It's a shame that I have no idea what they're talking about. He's usually a really funny character. In that old man way that old man characters usually are. Okay, either we're learning something or this is like an exam of some kind. He usually has those. Oh yeah! Yeah! Yay! This move is like super hella important. It makes combat so much easier. Thank you, Komaki. You are the bright shining star in my dark void of existence. Okay, that's all he has to teach us for now. Thank God. Well, not thank God that's all, but like, yay, he's around to teach us shit. He's such a cool character. He's been in every single Yakuza game. Even Kenzan. And he's in this one too. I wonder if they're related. So here's where we can fish. This bitch is blowing bubbles. That's pretty sick. Oh, here's a side quest. This guy is like, oh, I want to learn how to fish. But he sucks at fishing, so we can agree to fish for him. And I think I'm going to take the opportunity, because I did the wood chopping minigame, so I might as well do some fishing. And it's a nice, boring, leisurely activity that'll give me time to not be distracted and actually talk about this shit I'm trying to talk about here, without the game actually getting in the fucking way of it. I have such ADD about this kind of shit, where I'm trying to talk about fucking Japanese history, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, look at his crazy hat. I'm stupid like that. Let's try for right here. I think the fishing is a little different from how it works in the main games. Like right off the outset, it looks really different. Why can't every game... I feel like every good game has a fishing minigame in it. Think about it. Every great game in history has a fishing minigame. There's Persona 4, these games, the Yakuza games, Zelda Wind Waker, I think whether or not a game is... Oh, Okami had a fishing minigame. I think whether a game is good can be scientifically proven by whether or not it has a fishing minigame. Anyway, so I was talking about all the political strife and intrigue in Japan at this stage in history with Sakamoto and Hajime. It's actually really interesting. These are both figures who have been kind of used a lot in fictional depictions at this point, set in this time. Like, for example, in Rurouni Kenshin, which is a great show, Hajime Saito is actually a main character. And I think he's an ally of the central protagonist. Am I supposed to do something here? I know fishing's all about patience, but this is boring as shit. Am I supposed to use bait? Maybe I'm supposed to put bait on this thing first. What's triangle do? Yes. What's the bottom one do? No clue. I can use different fishing rods. I feel like this would be a lot easier to figure out if I could understand Japanese. I say that about a lot of things in this game so far. We don't know a lot. Oh, I don't know personally. I haven't looked into it, but Saito Hajime was actually an infamous figure within the Shinsengumi. Like, even within his own organization, he was kind of seen with distrust because he was an internal affairs kind of guy, where he was kind of meant to root out spies within the organization. So his own... Oh, cool. Here we go. Now. Shit, what am I supposed to do? Do I hold it down? What am I supposed to do with the circle button? Oh, okay. Okay, I've got it figured out now. I got it figured out. Let's try and catch one more, just for the sake of it. Okay. That was a little weird, but I got it now. I don't understand what the circle button's meant to be for. Why it's on screen. Because you don't use it at all. Anyway. Hajime. Yeah. He was the captain of the 3rd squad of the Shinsengumi. Which, I don't know if that'll be replicated in the game, but... Kiryu here does eventually join the Shinsengumi. Spoilers, I know, but that is kind of the whole point of him taking on the role of Hajime, because they, the writers knew that what story they wanted to tell, and they knew what they wanted to do with them. They kind of wanted Kiryu to take on both of these roles, where he, you know, overthrows the evil shogunate, which I'm sure is what they're going for, because Yakuza's never had the most morally ambiguous of conflicts. It's always kind of like good guys versus bad guys. Although that's pretty weird, considering that the Shinsengumi are romanticized more often than not as being good guys, when historically they were assholes. Like, major fucking douchebags. But, hey, like I said, every culture kind of embellishes its own history. I mean, it's hard for me to, like, point fingers, because, you know, in America, we fucking glorify the shit out of the Founding Fathers, and they were fucking slave owners. Not that 2 wrongs make a right or anything, but I just try to stick to a more honest outlook on history, but when it comes to fictional media, you know, inspirations are inspirations. It all comes down to how well you tell the story. Okay, we've got our fish, so let's go back to the buddy and give him our fish. Be like, here you go, bud. Here's some fish. Get the fuck out of my life. You can have this crawdad, because I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care. Hopefully that'll be satisfactory. Oh, now he's our friend. And that's a friendship gauge, that's a new mechanic in this, or it might be an old one from Yakuza 5. But anyway, our sub-quest with that guy is over. But we can come back and give him more fish later and build up our friendship gauge with him. Which counts towards 100% completion, and we probably get cool stuff from doing it. I don't really know. Oh, there was a random battle right there, but they're gone now. Anyway, we're gonna save real quick, because I don't want to run too long on this. Hopefully I wasn't too aimless and rambly. And hopefully we'll have, we're probably just gonna spend, the next couple parts doing sub-quests. So, tune in for that. I'll be less snotty and disgusting then, I promise. See you next time.